This is Your Body, Mind, and Home. Today's topic, receiving massage. So if you've never had a massage, or if you've had some but are not sure that you're doing it right, that's what we're going to discuss today. So I'm going to start with a little bit about inside the massage room, and I'm going to be doing some massage today, but it's a very light version of what I normally do, but just to give you some sense of it. And I'm going to go over some questions about massage that a lot of people have, and then we'll talk about where to get massage and finding a massage therapist. So first we'll talk just a little bit about environment. I have a little bit more light in here than I normally would. I usually have very soft light. There's usually some music playing. The heat or air conditioning is on to make the temperature comfortable for you. And any of these things you can give the therapist feedback about. You can have no music at all, you can have it louder, you can have it cooler, warmer, all kinds of things. So don't hesitate to talk to your therapist about any of those things. The first question many people have is, am I going to have to take off all my clothes? And the short answer to that is no. A lot of techniques don't require you to remove clothes, things like shiatsu and sometimes craniosacral, zero balancing. There's all kinds of therapies that are like that. What I do does use some oil and lotion, so those areas I do typically have no clothing on, but every therapist has a whole array of different types of techniques, and many of them can be done through clothing. So whatever is most comfortable for you is what you want to start with. What we do when we are going to use oil or just need to work on a specific area without clothing is we do something called draping. And that involves keeping the rest of the body covered and just exposing the area that we're going to work on. So in this case, it's the back, and I am going to be using oil, but sometimes I could be doing other techniques on this back that don't require oil, but sometimes you still just need to have the back exposed or the skin exposed for a certain technique. So I'm going to be putting oil on, and some people use lotion, some people use creams. It's all a matter of what the therapist likes as far as the glide and things like that. So I'm just putting on some oil. This massage that I'm showing you is a very light version of what I usually do. It's not as focused because I'm talking, of course, and that's actually the next question that people often ask me: is it okay to talk? And the short answer to that is yes, but it's best if what we're talking about is the massage itself. If we start chatting, our different emotions can come into it, different kinds of energy. And it also just distracts me, so I might leave things out or just not do as good of a job as if I was actually focused on the work. So it's best if when you talk, it's something that has to be communicated about the massage itself, or about how you're feeling, or about anything about you, basically. You might be wondering why my client is so still, and that is because he's really mastered the art of the ragdoll. So the concept of the ragdoll is that you're lying on the table and you're completely free of responsibility for moving anything unless the therapist asks you to. If the therapist says, could you move your leg or could you move your arm? And in fact, if you feel uncomfortable at any point and want to just readjust yourself, you're completely welcome to do that. But the concept of being a rag doll is that it gives you a chance to see where you're holding muscles, where you're tight, and it gives me that information too. So if I go and pick up an arm, you know, I'm already getting information right now about this joint and about the arm and about the muscles that are involved. And I'm, you know, even if I'm not even pulling anything, most of the time I'm just moving things around and putting them in place. But when I put them in place, I'm getting information from that. So that's the point of being a rag doll. Like anything in massage, you are in charge. So you get to choose what happens, and if you feel the therapist is a little uncomfortable, like maybe they're a little awkward moving your leg or your arm, you're completely welcome to just say, you know, I'll move that if you don't mind. And I will ask, so if, you know, particularly with the legs, at certain times I will ask the client to just, you know, lift up your knees so I can slide the bolster in. So I will ask if I need to, and you can ask if you want to, but the concept is for you to just have a chance to see, you know, how loose you can be, how relaxed you can be. And it's not a, you know, as I say, it's not a requirement. So it's not something that you need to stress yourself about. Anything in the massage, really, you don't need to stress about. And that's, you know, the opposite of what we want for you to be feeling. So if you have, you know, at any point you want to shift your position yourself, anything you want to do, you're welcome to, you know, to do that. So what happens if I fall asleep? That is a very good question that people have, and it depends on the therapist. So I was taught in school, what they told us to do is when someone falls asleep, to stop working on them and remove your hands, and that will wake the person up. I actually don't do that because I feel like if someone falls asleep, first of all, when people fall asleep on me, it's usually 1 minute, 2 minutes. And I feel that if they're sleeping, it's probably because they need the sleep, or maybe they're a little overwhelmed with the touch. It can be lots of different things, but I feel like it's a healthy thing to do. But if you're uncomfortable with that, if you don't want the therapist to stop, or you do want the therapist to stop, whatever your preference is, you might want to mention that before the massage starts. If I fall asleep, you know, wake me up because I want to know everything that goes on and I don't want to miss anything. Or, you know, if I fall asleep, is that okay? You know, you can always just ask that as well. But I'm perfectly fine with people falling asleep, and it really just depends on how much stress they're under, how busy their lives are. That really makes a difference as to whether and how often and how long people fall asleep. But like I say, it's usually, you know, for 30 seconds or a minute and a half at some point, you know, on their back or their arm or their leg. Often when I get to people's feet, if they're going to fall asleep, that's often where they fall asleep. The last thing I would say is just to be aware of things like food intake and drink intake before you come to a massage. So you don't want to have too much food close to when you have a massage. I really highly recommend not having alcohol and even caffeine. It's gonna, you know, caffeine is a stimulant, and if you're coming for a massage, you might want to be relaxed, be more relaxed. So you don't want the chemistry in your body to be fighting what's going on, with the massage and working against the massage. So that's just something to think about as well. Now for the final question. Where can I get a good massage? That's not an easy question. The first thing I would say is ask friends and family and try the people that they really liked. But just know that because it's so personal, your idea of what is a good massage might be different from even people that you get along with really well and you feel like are exactly like you. So expect to have to try a few different people, a few different places before you find somebody that you really like. One thing I will say is that cost is not equal to quality in massage. You can spend a lot of money on a very mediocre massage, or you can spend, a reasonable amount of money for a fabulous massage. So don't think, along those lines, because you'll probably be surprised either way. So the things that I would steer away from are some of the low-cost chains, and that's because they often you'll get an overworked therapist who is underpaid. So it's just the nature of the business. The other thing I would discourage you from is getting massages on cruises. They tend to be very overpriced, and if you think about it, people who are doing massages on cruises aren't trying to build a clientele. They're not really looking for repeat customers. They're kind of there to have a good time and work their way across the ocean. It's also not clear to me so licensing is usually associated with a government, so it's not even clear to me that they need to have licensed therapists on ships. So you're probably not going to get a good value and maybe not a very good massage if you do a massage on a cruise. Places like day spas are the easiest to find, but they're also kind of iffy. It depends on how well it's run. A lot of day spas look at massage therapists like people who cut hair and people who do nails. They don't, maybe don't even get massages from the people that they interview. And to me, that's really important. And you'll also, you might get more inexperienced people there. You might get great massages. I mean, I've had great massages at day spas, but they tend to be a little pricier. And if you can find somebody, great, but just know that you might have to check around a little bit. I have my own private practice in my home. A lot of massage therapists have a private practice they just rent an office somewhere, or they work with a holistic group or something like that. Those are a better bet because those tend to be people that have a little bit of experience and are really dedicated to massage. So you're going to get somebody who is really focused on giving you a good overall experience, but also a really good massage. So you go to a day spa, it can be a really, really nice facility, but the massage might not be, be really, really focused and really high quality. That's all I have for today. So please remember to like and subscribe, and put in some comments if you have any comments about your experiences with massage, things you would add, things you disagree with, anything you'd like to add to the conversation. We welcome it. Okay, thank you.